Well, welcome back to another episode of LorcanaChats. I'm your host, Chris, aka Questing for Lore. And in today's chat, I spent some time getting to know Jay, otherwise known as the Lore Whisperer. In this episode, we spent some time talking about her and her content that she started making way back when everyone was searching everywhere for first chapter cards. We also talked some about her recent rebranding, the importance of planning, and even mention a certain once in a million double enchanted pull. Sound like fun? Let's get to it. Well, hey Jay, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. I was glad we were able to get this coordinated and sit down and talk for a little while about you and your content and all this, all this craziness. So, um,
No, thank you. Thank you for having me.
yeah, of course. We were talking a little bit before. I've been fortunate with this show to be able to talk to so many different people, and you'll actually be my 50th episode, which is kind of crazy. Um, but it's been great that there's so many welcoming people in the community. Like I said, I think of all the people that I've reached out to, the majority have said yes or maybe later, that kind of thing. And I think it's really a testament to Lorcana and the community that it's built around it. So,
Yeah, 100%. I'm so proud of you and all of your great work. This is an amazing project, and thank you again for having me.
yeah, well, of course. Thanks for being on. Okay, so I have to start the same way that I start with everybody. I got to get your origin story with Lorcana. How did you start off? Where did you find out about it? When did you start off? All that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, so I heard about the game maybe like a week prior to its official release at local game shops, and I heard about it through Instagram. Like, I just saw a post about, "Hey, this new Disney game is coming out," and all the promo stuff. Um, so I got really curious about it. I love Disney. Anything Disney, I'm all about and all for. So that immediately caught my attention. I haven't played any, like, trading card games before or anything like that, so
Mhm.
it was kinda like, "Oh, I'm gonna collect these cards, and they're gonna look so pretty in my binder."
Nice.
And that was a start. That was the hook. That's all it took.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's lots of people that started that way. I talked to a lot of folks that, they have a background in TCGs and they're like, oh, this looks like an interesting game to, try out. But there's also a lot of people that they looked at the cards and, I mean, they have, custom art for the game. And so they're objectively really pretty cards. Um, and just wanting to collect them is a whole different thing. I talked to a guy that just collects, like he plays a little bit, but his whole deal is collecting the cards. So um, yeah, it's really cool to see the different entry points for people into the game and the community.
Yeah, and honestly, that was my intention as well. It was to My initial intention was, "Hey, I'm gonna collect." I've never really played any trading card games. The art that I've seen online looks great, so let's get try to get a couple packs and see if I like it, I'll collect it type of thing, and here we are,
Yeah, yeah.
obsessed.
So how did that let me get a couple of packs go in the first chapter there?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, that was okay, so initially I was like, "Look, this is Disney. Disney has a ton of fans, obviously, but I don't it's probably gonna be little kids wanting to play this game, and,
Mm,
I'll be able to find it." So, I went to my local game shop, and I was like prior when I found out about it, and I asked, "Hey, are you guys getting this new Lorcana game. And they were like, "Oh yeah, we are, but we've sold out all of the pre-sales and all of that, but you know, you could come by the day of release and see if, we have some extra." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'll come by." And I think that's when the FOMO kicked in, and it was like, "Okay, let me do some research about this."
Yeah.
And yeah, uh, couldn't find it anywhere. It was sold out everywhere, and, I had to give in and pay, the resale prices, in
Oh,
order to,
no.
get some
Ouch.
product, and honestly, it was definitely FOMO. I was like, "I need to have these. Why is everybody going crazy over these?" Like,
Mhm. Yep.
I wanna see. And once I got, once I was able to get those first couple of packs, um, I was like, "Yeah, I'll have to pay reselling price because I need this. I need more."
Yeah,
So
yeah. So was it packs that you got first, or did you get starter decks or a trove or anything?
I was able to get, I remember, I think it was the blue steel,
Mm,
um, starter deck, and
mhm,
I was able to find or get some booster, like the hanger ones.
mhm.
I think I got, like, 3 of those, um,
Lucky.
and, uh, luck, say that to my wallet.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then after that, I gave in and I got a booster box and a trove.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was like,
at those
I need it,
prices.
I need it.
Yikes.
Hey, it got me to where I am today with the
That's
obsession,
true,
so
that's true. And honestly, I think everybody's probably got a little story like that. We all like to think, "Oh, we're just buying, regular products and stuff," but, you hit a certain point where you're just like, okay, I can blow a little bit more money on this, just to get like something nice, like an enchanted or something, because some of them,
yeah,
I mean,
and
some of them are not cheap.
yeah, yeah, and honestly, I think I was able to justify it because I didn't have any, like, expensive hobbies at the time, like,
Okay.
I was just working and trying to find something, and once I saw the cards, I was like, "Okay, this is gonna be it for me," like, I love it. So,
So, as somebody who hadn't played a TCG before, did you find it difficult to get into or pretty easy? I mean, most people say it's, pretty simple compared to some other TCGs, but if you've never done it before, you never know.
yeah. So, it was honestly really intimidating, to be honest, because didn't have any background on any games like that, so I literally went on the app and followed the step guides
Mm, mm-hmm.
that they have. And once I had enough cards to make a deck, I remember it was an emerald steel deck. I took my happy self to my local GameStop and, um, I remember it was league day, and I'm an introvert by nature, so I was super overwhelmed and intimidated, and I was like, "Oh, this
Yeah.
is gonna go horrible. What am I gonna do?" But the Lorcana community being the greatness that it is, they took me in with open arms, and it was great, it was fantastic, it was such an awesome experience. They taught me how to play, like, real life there, so it was amazing, and, they build out the league, and it was just like, "Hey, I have something cool to do now on the weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and this is so awesome." So, overwhelming at first, but it was super rewarding once, like, I got fully immersed into the community and started playing.
Yeah. That's good to hear. It's always great to hear about people that have those good experiences, especially people that are new to TCGs, period. It's got to be super intimidating to just be like, well, I kind of liken it to the feeling that I had whenever I walked into the Atlanta DLC. I was like, whoa, this is a whole different kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I know some of that was the scale, but it's the same kind of feeling, right? You know, you don't know what to
Yeah.
expect. There's all these new people. I think I like saw Liam and that was it. Like I didn't, nobody else I knew was there. Nobody came from, where I live in the middle of nowhere. So, but
No, and, like, that's a great point too because even until today, I'm still trying to figure out, like, what type of player I am. Like,
mhm,
I started off not knowing anything. I got hooked on it, so I got super competitive and, like, obsessed over wanting to be really good at it. I used to be an athlete, so, like, the
okay.
competitiveness there in college, like,
Mhm.
it was just there. I was like, "Okay, is this my new sport? Yes, let's make it my new sport."
There you go.
Um, so I got super competitive. I went to big tournaments, went to the DLCs, went to the Charlie's collectibles, like AKs and
Mhm.
all of that. I got super competitive and got to see, like, both sides with, like, the social players and then the super competitive community of Lorcana, and, um, now I'm at a point where I'm like, "Okay, I'm more competitive than social players, but I'm not as competitive as the competitive players, so
Right,
where
right.
do I sit?"
Yep.
So that whole thing, like, that was a journey of its own too, like, trying to figure out where am I at with the game?
Mhm. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's a pretty common struggle. You
Mm,
know, a lot of people start as casual players and then they get the bug and then they really try to really move into the competitive scene. But then there's a lot of people that are like, I'm just here to play cards. It's like I don't care, and honestly, there's nothing saying that you have to be one or the other, right? You
right.
can be at different times be one or the other. Um, I know there's a lot of people that they have, multiple LGSs in their area, and they'll go to one and it's way more casual, and they'll go to another and it's way
Yeah.
more competitive, to be able to have that dichotomy between them, is cool. And to have it, everybody's playing the same game. So it's not like it's, different formats or, I mean, I guess now it potentially could be
Yeah,
different
for now.
formats, but but yeah, no, it's just cool to think about, the wide variety of people that are in this community. So,
Yeah, and I think too, like, set champs really help kind
mhm.
of itch that bug of, like, I wanna play a competitive tournament, so,
Yeah.
um, that whole set champ season really does help with that and kind of balance things out, so thankful for that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a lot of people's first step into the competitive side too, you know. They kind of graduate
Yeah,
up from, being the casual introductory player
yeah,
to something a little more serious. So,
yeah, and, have you played any set champs? I don't know if you have, but I
oh
remember my
yeah.
first one,
Yeah,
and it
I
was
uh,
like,
I
"Ooh,
I don't do very well, but I did get a scar, so that was good.
ooh,
Um,
nice, nice,
but
nice, nice."
yeah, I am definitely more leaning towards the casual side. I
Okay.
enjoy just playing and hanging out with people and just getting to play the game, because it's fun.
Yeah,
So,
it is. It is, definitely is, and, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think competitive or not, um, it's a great game, and it's a great community, and as long as you're having fun and just enjoy playing, I think you already won because that's really
yeah,
what it's all about.
yep, yep, definitely. Well, I want to talk some about your content. So you are largely on like short form content, right? Instagram, TikTok, all that kind of stuff.
For now, yes.
For now, uh-oh, preview. Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll get back to that in a second. Um, all right. So actually, you've been making content since like way back, like first chapter, right?
Yes, so I yes, as soon as I got some product and I was like, "Okay, this is for me," I said, "I'm gonna start an Instagram and I'm gonna document my journey through this."
Nice.
Like, no intention for having any influence or calling myself a content creator or anything like that. It was simply, I'm gonna just take pictures and videos of my journey with this game because as of now, I love it, and we'll see what happens with this game. So, um, I wanted to document that whole journey.
Nice. Nice. So I'm curious, excuse me. Um, had you done any kind of content creation or anything like this before, or was this just kind of the first leap right out of the box?
So I had played around with, like, pack openings and stuff
Mm,
like that. So, um, I've always been a collector. So, like, I collected Pokemon cards, but never played the game.
mhm.
I collected Funkos when that was super, and probably still is super popular, but I was super obsessed with, like, Funkos. So I've always been a collector. Um, so, I've, made videos about my collections and stuff like that, but it never took it, to the next level or never took it serious enough to be around for what is gonna be a year and almost almost 2 years now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, never stuck around for this long.
Nice. And so I'm always curious. So when you were first starting out, what were some of the biggest struggles that you had?
I think because I wasn't putting any labels around myself for being like a content creator or anything like that, I was simply documenting, and I think that also like, you can see the difference in my content from, like,
Yep.
when I first started to now. The pressure is now, where it's like, okay, I really want to put out really high level quality content, so I hold high standards for myself, but back then when I started, I was just posting, like,
Yeah.
no purpose or intent, like, around it. It was just pictures and videos, um, but now, like, I'm truly passionate about the community I'm building and the content that I'm putting out. I'm really proud of what I'm putting out, so now it's like, okay, um, I have a purpose here, and I wanna make sure that, like, it's good stuff that I'm putting out, so
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you're what, over 1,400 on Instagram, over 1,700 on TikTok.
woohoo.
So congratulations on that, by the way. That's, I mean, that's huge. So
No, thank you. I mean, it's great and it's surreal because that's a lot of people,
it is,
like
it is a lot. Yeah.
and you can sit and, like, look at others and, like, be like, "Oh, they have more followers than me," or like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I need to get more followers," but I try not to do that, and I'm happy with the growth and the pace that I'm going, and, um, I just want a good community, and, if people want to join that, then great, and if you don't, then don't, that's fine, but I try not to, like, look at the numbers too much,
Yeah.
it's just a number, but it's surreal at the same time, like
Yeah, yeah. It's well, and it's such an easy thing to fall into, right? You know, you go, you're checking the
Mhm.
numbers, checking the numbers, checking the numbers. And then
Yeah,
you start getting frustrated when it's not growing, or you see the number
right.
go down and you're like, "Oh no, they hate me." It's like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
a weird kind of pressure.
it's definitely hard, yeah. It's definitely hard to, like, not pay too much attention because
Mhm.
if you are doing it, you're doing it for a reason, like, you're doing it to grow and all of that, but for me, I think just being proud of the content that I'm doing and doing it because I like it and because I'm enjoying it has definitely taken out the pressure of, like, worrying about numbers and
Mhm.
followers and likes and all of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that that passion and drive goes a long way.
makes things easier for sure, like,
It does.
makes
Yeah.
things not to feel like a burden or like, "I have to post, I have to post, I have to post." Like,
Hmm.
it definitely takes that out of the equation and, definitely is super helpful.
Yep. So I'm curious, do you follow a schedule? I know so I, obviously do the long form content, and so it's like I post every Friday. But do you kind of follow a schedule on your stuff? And kind of what's your process there?
Yeah, so I recently went through, I would call it a major rebranding because it definitely took so much effort and thought and just intention around the rebranding. Before the rebranding, I was all over the place. It was really taking a burden on me because it was like, I need to post and I'm not posting. And then I would take these long breaks because I was overwhelmed by it. So it was really challenging. But post the rebranding, the key has been having a schedule and having good structure around my posts. So, like you mentioned, I'm mostly on Instagram and TikTok, and I follow a schedule. So, I'm posting 4 to 5 times a week, but with like a schedule so people know what to expect every day.
Mhm.
And that also helps me keeping me organized and structure and kind of takes the pressure out of like overwhelmness, so much content to do. What do I do?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
definitely, schedule has been key to happiness.
yep. Well, and it's nice for people to have something predictable, right? They always
Yeah.
know when to look out for new content from you, and just kind of expect it. you know and it's nice. It like you said, it kind of helps build that community around it. You've got the people that really enjoy your content, and they keep coming back, and keep watching. It's like, oh, it's like a friend. I know what to expect, when to expect it. So,
Yeah, it's honestly so cool, and I think the most gratifying thing from just being on social media and, it's still hard for me to call myself a content creator, but I do create content.
yeah, yeah.
Um, the
It doesn't
most
have to be
gratifying
like an official title or anything. It's just like a description of something. Yeah.
Right. The most gratifying thing is, like, all these people that I've had the honor to meet in person. Like, we've met through
Mhm.
social media, and then you go to a big event, like a DLC or something like that, and it's like, "Wait, are you Lore Whisperer?" Or like, "Oh, yeah, are you so and so?" And then it's, like, so amazing to, like, meet up with these online friends that you would have never had the pleasure to meet had it
Mhm.
not been for Lorcana and this awesome community that we have.
Yep, yep, definitely. And now you've got like some series going on. You've got the newer the Talent of the Ink one with some of the artists, the Foils Friday. You had a cross
Yeah.
collab with some other folks and had something very interesting happen, but I'll let you tell that story. So,
Yeah, so Mondays we have Whisperings, Trove, which we can talk about Whispering in a little bit.
mhm,
We have, Talent of the Ink on Tuesday, which is a spotlight for all of the amazing Lorcana artists. On Wednesdays, we have Whimsy, Wednesday, which is more like an interactive, quiz for the community. Thursdays is a little break, and then Fridays we have Foils Friday, which is meant to be light and fun, and hopefully we pull an enchanted on one of those videos.
yeah,
um,
it'll
but
happen someday. It'll happen.
yes, yes, the collab I did recently with Laura Lumineer, Missy Enchanted, and Stardust Games was so epic. So we were live having an awesome conversation. It was um I guess we can call it release or pre-release weekend for Reign of Jafar.
Mhm.
And we're just opening packs and having a grand time. And out of nowhere, I pull an enchanted and Lauren Lanier pulls an enchanted at the same time.
Yep.
Uh, That was epic.
It was pretty funny. I was like, "No way."
That was so epic. I'm, like, so caught up in, like, looking at my enchanted, I pulled the Rapunzel, and
Mhm,
then I look up, I'm like, "Guys, guys, guys, look!" And I noticed that Lumineer had her stitch that she pulled,
mhm.
and I was great. It was amazing.
Y'all planned it that way, didn't you? You to, like,
I
secretly
don't
snuck the
think
enchanteds in there? Yeah.
I don't think if we planned it, it woulda came out that good, like, it
It's
was
always the
perfect.
surprise that you can always tell when it's genuine, you know?
It was perfect. You know what, though? Like, the best thing about that whole night, yes, pulled and enchanted, great, fantastic, but Missy enchanted, pull her enchanted, like, a few packs later, and then later that night, Stardust Games, she pulled her enchanted off camera, so all of us
That's
got an
awesome.
enchanted, so it was wholesome, it was great, and these are the things why, we create content is, like, to share moments like this.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, they're priceless.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, especially for it to be live and everything, it just, because it's one thing you open a pack and you're going through it yourself and you're like, oh, I got one. I got, it's like you slide it a little bit to see and, the excitement's
Yeah,
there, but it's like magnified when you share it with so many
yeah,
other people.
yeah. It really is, it really is. It just makes that moment 10 times better, and I
Mhm.
keep thinking, like, pulling an enchanted is such a thrill and, like, a rush of joy, and with Fable coming out and the new rarity, iconic, coming out, like, that is gonna be I can't imagine pulling
Yeah,
an iconic that's gonna be
me.
I don't know if I can handle
I'm
it.
I'm really wondering when the first one is going to be pulled. I mean, I know people that open cases and cases of stuff, and they
Right,
only get, 7 or 8 enchanteds or something, out of the
right.
the whole thing. I mean, they're talking like one iconic per like palette, or two or three, which is just that's insane. So
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see
but
when the first one gets pulled.
yeah, if you pull one, that's gonna be an unmatched emotion,
I mean,
like
right? It's like immediately you're just like, okay, I need to like completely seal this
yeah,
away and no dust, no dust. Yeah,
yeah, that's gonna be great.
yeah, yeah, that'll be cool. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but the rebranding. So Whisprin, tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. He is my little companion. So, I wanted a friend to accompany me on my quests and adventures. I love traveling. I love going on adventures. So, I wanted to feature a little mascot, a little friend to come along on my quest and my adventure. So, I have plans for him to be more present in the content in the future, but um yeah, I think it adds a little spark of joy and mystery to the content. So definitely tons of fun adding him to the little brand of lore whisperer.
Yeah.
But definitely we'll see more of him in the future for sure.
So a little like 3D printed version or something, sitting next to you
Oh,
or
I don't know. You guys will have to stay tuned to find out.
there you go. Gotta bait the hook a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Did you do the rebranding yourself or did you have someone help you out on it or
So it was a lot of weeks of um, drawing and sketching and looking and brainstorming for names. And like, I wanted to be purposeful with the rebranding. I didn't want it to be just change your name. I wanted to have a story and like for something to feel like a package, like it was meant to be there. So definitely partner with some artists for the logo and like whispering, but it was honestly weeks of just thinking and sketching and
Hmm.
Xing out like this is not it. This is not it.
Yep.
Um, but I'm really, really happy with what it is now. And like I said, like I'm super, super proud of all of the content that I'm putting out. And I think that's what's driving the want to continue to put out content and
Hmm.
wanting to keep doing this.
And I'm sure that that time was also spent planning. You've got the different themes on the different days, and trying to do
Right.
you do you
Yeah.
actually like plan far in advance, or is it like planning next week, that kind of thing?
So it's a lot of like planning out. I have a list of like ideas and then is taking from that list and then executing for that week. I would love to get to a point where I have like weeks of content planned out and like
Hmm.
already, just there, but not there yet. I'll get there with time, with experience. Like I'm new to this, still trying to figure things out, but
Yeah.
um definitely in a better place from when I started. And that's also like, okay, I'm getting better by the time. So like must be doing
Hmm.
something, right? So just need to keep going at it and trust the process.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's really cool to see different creators, like, even like the Illumineers. Like I had them on a couple episodes ago, a little while back, and to go back and look at some of their earliest stuff. It's the same, it's the same kind of feel to it. But there you can just tell it's a little rougher around the edges, and but now it's like, they get on, everything's planned, they've got all the guests
yeah,
and all the different segments, and it's all like very, very well put together. But they didn't start out that way. There's so
right.
many stories I hear of people that are like, yeah, I just jumped in. I had no idea what I was
Yeah.
doing, and then they've worked up, to where they are now. And they have like, some people have like studios, and they have, special equipment. And yeah, it's really cool to see the evolution of creators over time, including yourself.
Thank you. No, that really means a lot. And honestly, um, once I did the rebranding, getting positive feedback from the community, it was everything to me because it's like, okay, this is all this effort, like it's translating, like people are noticing it and it's being appreciated and it really means so much. And um it's like everything, right? Like anything you pick up, you're not gonna be good when you start unless you're, I mean, you're next level. But for most people,
Well,
like
yeah.
it takes time to get good at something. So
Hmm.
it's a process, and it's definitely super rewarding and just nice to see the growth over time for other content creators and for yourself too. Like it's like, progress. It,
Yep.
progress over perfection.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Yep.
yeah,
That's a great way
it's
to put
great.
it. So okay, so other than just like the just do it, just jump in. What kind of advice do you have for people that want to get into creating content and sharing the joy that is Lorcana with the rest of the world?
Um, I would say just do it still because you just need to jump in and do it. But once you start doing it, um, definitely if you have the time, make a plan because it's truly a game changer. You always hear it on like the videos of really big influencers, and they're not lying. Like
Yeah.
planning your content really does make a difference. And it'll make your life a lot easier too. It'll make you appreciate the content that you're putting out a lot more than kind of struggling to figure out what you're gonna post that day.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, you just have to do it, and as you have seen with many other creators, progress will come over time. But also have fun with it. If you are doing it for the views and the followers, you're gonna get burnt out super quick.
Yep. Yep.
So just you have to enjoy, the content that you put out and have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's so easy. Like you see all these creators that are, gung ho and they get in there and they're like, I'm gonna do, multiple things a week. And no slight against you. I mean, you've figured it out. So, but they get out there and they're like, super powerhouse right at the beginning. And don't even think about, like you said, thinking through this plan, thinking through what they want to do, how they want to do it. And so the burnout just hits.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and we've even seen it, in the Lorcana community. There were some long running podcasts that, it got to a certain point and you could just tell where they say, they came out and said, here's the reason why, that it stopped being fun. It stopped being
yeah,
something that they enjoyed. And it was just something they felt like they had to do. And
yeah.
that's a spot that nobody wants to be in, right?
Yeah, and I think once you reach that point, it's really hard to kind of turn back,
Mhm.
because you're burnt out, you just don't it's not fun. So, like, you kind of take that spark out of it, and it's really hard to come back from that, I think, but yeah, plan things out, do it for the joy of it, and it's gonna work out over time. Like, the people that are gonna stick around will stick around, but it's also like, think about scalability. Like, if you really want to do this for the long run, having a plan will definitely allow you to continue to do it for the long run. If you just try to do it on the whim, it's gonna get hard.
Yeah,
It's gonna get
yeah.
hard.
Well, and having a plan like that also helps you realize, like, and kind of going back and critiquing your own stuff, trying to figure out
Mm,
where you can improve each time, just slight improvements, every time. Um, I forget who I was talking to, but they said that basically what they do is they go back and watch every video, after they've published it, or I guess as they're doing the editing, and try to identify at least one or two spots where they can improve for the next video and just kind of
that's
make
all.
those incremental improvements. It's not like it has to be this giant change all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I think too, like, a big part is getting to know your community and your audience. Like, um, you need to be able to connect with people, and I think it's a balance too of, like, connecting with your audience, but also, at least for me, is like making sure that I'm posting what I want to post and what I find joy out of, whether it's a video or just content. Like, I want to make sure that I'm still having prioritizing my fun, but also wanting to connect with my audience. And that's hard to do. Like, it's a hard thing to figure out, but
yeah.
progress over perfection.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get a big sign for up here that has that, so I remind myself. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so easy to forget too. You get into it and you're just, you're putting this stuff together and you think, oh, it's good enough or, whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you have that plan, you can say, here's my goals. I want to reach, not like I want to reach 5,000 followers or something. It's more like I want to be able to do this in 6 months, whether
Yeah.
it's make long form content. See, bring it back around there, or 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 something else. So now that I brought that back up, you wanna spill the beans a little bit on
So
that?
no, yeah. So, I am on all platforms, and the idea I do want to stream at some point. I do want to do YouTube at some point, but um I think I am I don't want to take a bite I don't know how the saying goes. I don't wanna take a bite bigger than what I can chew on. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's the saying,
Yep.
but I want to pace myself because I think I started not having a plan and, like, not just kind of all over. So now that I'm really passionate about, like, this rebrand and, like, what I want to do and the vision that I have, I want to take things slow and at my pace, but at some point, like, I definitely want to do YouTube. I definitely want to stream, but I'm taking it one step at a time, and, um, I wanna make sure that I do it right as well.
Yep.
Like, it can be very easy to just turn the camera on, start streaming, but I wanna do it right. So, I want to just take my time with it, but it's
Yeah.
gonna come at
Yep.
some point.
Yep. You'll get there. I have no doubt. Oh,
Thank you, thank you, I appreciate
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about kind of the community around Lorcana and around, the content that's out there. Um, I'm curious what you think about kind of the current state of the community as a whole, either, you know, down to your local level or, just the wider community, the global community.
I think we're at an interesting spot because I've definitely talked to a lot of people that are um worried about the game with like rotations and the future of the game,
Hmm.
and I just sense a lot of nervousness around the community, at least from the people that I've talked to. Um, so I think we're in an interesting spot. I think a lot of people are super excited about like Fabled and Worlds and things like that, but um, we just need to hold on and trust that things are gonna work out at the end of the game with rotation or not rotation. Like we're still gonna be able to play Lorcana. So um yeah, I think it's an interesting time for the community, I think, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
Totally agree. I'm glad they started to do the weekly lorecast though. I think that's kind of helped a lot
yes.
of people, like, to be able to put their faces to it, and it's not just like this nebulous Ravensburger company that's Disney that's floating out there. um, to have these people that are there week after week that are talking about
Yes.
the same game that we all love, and the latest, even if there's not a ton of news, they're still talking about whatever they can. um, and I think it's gone a
Yeah.
long way to rebuild some of that goodwill in the community that was kind of like, really, it felt like there for a little bit it was really tanking. But I think it's kind of going back up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. I think the Lorecast has been such a great move. It feels like we're connected as a community with the game representatives. Like, it feels good. It gives us something to look forward to. Um, and I think they have all of the great intentions. So I'm putting my faith on things are gonna be fine. Things are gonna work out. And the
Yeah.
other thing is like I hear all of these people like getting nervous about rotations and things like that, but
Hmm.
I don't have the experience to know why I should be nervous about rotations.
Yeah.
So I am nervous because others are nervous because I
Yeah.
love this game so much and I want it to stick around forever for as long as it can. So it's like I'm nervous because you're nervous, but I don't know why I should be nervous about rotations.
Yeah.
We still get to play. So, um, yeah, I mean, change comes with uncertainty, so it's
Yeah.
inevitable. It's gonna be fine. I think we have a strong community, and we're here for the long run. I think so. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be fine. Really. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, I totally agree. I mean, it's good to see, the dedication, like, Ravensburger listening to the community about things, like you saw
Yes.
it with the DLCs last year. Atlanta was
Yes.
pretty rough. It was rough around the edges. But by the time they got to Seattle, things were pretty well worked out.
Yeah,
They
game
were doing
changer.
great.
Yeah.
Um, but I hope that trend continues. It seems like it is. And to be able to have an open forum with them, to be able to just chat directly with them, because before it was just
Yeah.
like you maybe send an email and you might get a response back. Who knows? But now they've got that live, the live thing that you can just, ask them questions directly, and they're both really good. Both Rochelle and Greg are really good about answering them live. So, um,
Yeah.
it's
Like,
encouraging.
we're being heard. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
being heard, and
definitely.
that's a great feeling to know, like, these game representatives are listening to the community, because at the end of the day, like, a huge part of the Lorcana success, in my opinion, is the community.
Mhm.
I don't think I'd be playing the game as passionately as I am. I don't think I'd be creating the content as passionately as I am if we didn't have like this awesome community to back the game.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting in talking with other, content creators. One of the things that as the community grows, and since, a lot of these creators, well, not a lot of them, but some of them have been creating it even before the game came out,
Mhm.
way back. Just when it was like, hey, there's going to be a game. It's like they don't know anything about it, but they're still talking about it. Which I don't know how you come up with content for that, um, but yeah, you kind of have growing pains on that side too, because there's creators that have been doing this for 2 years, and and you get little things like, not little. I mean, it's a honor to be able to reveal a card, for a
Mhm.
set. But you have some creators that have been at this for a long time that haven't even gotten that, and so it's
Yeah.
really tricky you know to not be like too drawn into the appreciation aspect of it, I guess. At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you kind of have to remember, I mean, this is a company, this is a business. We
Yeah.
all love the game, but we love the game because we're a community around it. It's a fun game. Um, but that's why we do it, because we love the game.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
it's the same thing
And
as like
that
counting numbers and followers. If
yeah,
you do it just for the
exactly. I
recognition, you know.
right. And I was gonna say that, like, at the end of the day, like, you do it because you love it
Mhm.
and not expecting anything in return. It would be great, right? Like, if you
Yeah,
get recognized for your efforts, but you didn't start this for that,
yeah,
So it's like reminding yourself of that. So yeah.
yeah. And it's tough. I totally get it. I mean, everybody wants to be appreciated for things that they work hard on.
Yeah.
And some people like, some of the stuff, it's a little bit more casual, and they don't take it quite as seriously, and it's like, yay, I make Lorcana content. it's and it's not as serious, but there are people that like, they're like hardcore serious
Right.
about creating content. They plan out content, a month in advance or more. They write up scripts, they spend hours editing. It's a lot, and it's not exactly, it's kind of a thankless job. And to have recognition is good, but
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think it should be the thing that drives you to make the content.
Yeah. 100% agree. If happens, it happens, right? Like, you got to do it because you love it. So yeah.
Well, so where do you think that we as community members can help improve things, can help grow our community even more, make it, better for anybody and everybody that wants to come play the game?
I will say, if you are a fan of the game, make sure you are going to your local game shops for League and supporting their events. And if the local game shops are not big with Lorcana, try to find ways to make that happen and like support. Um, support the local community as much as you can. Um, and I'm speaking from my own experience, like, here where I live, like, it used to be really big when the game first came out, and, like, it's kind of slowly, decreasing a little bit, so, using all of my powers here to like, "Hey, come play at the league, hey," making sure I'm inviting friends and
Mhm.
making sure I'm showing up to league because that's how it started. That at least my journey, that's how my journey started, so I wanna make sure that league is still a strong league at my local game shops, and so I would say, if you can, make sure you're supporting your local game shops as much as you can and, um, continue, to make this game great, with, like,
Yeah.
local events, league, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said, that's kind of where a lot of people start. That's their introduction to the game.
Right.
And it's great that you mentioned bringing friends, to be able to not have to be that person in the room that you don't know anybody, nobody knows
Yeah,
you. There's not a lot of people, especially kind of the folks that play games like these that are just like complete extroverts. They like walk
yeah,
into a game store. They're like, "Hey, it's me. Hi." Most people are kind of go in, sit down,
yeah,
have conversations with people. But yeah, having somebody already built in that you already know to introduce you to
yeah.
other people is huge as well. So,
Yeah, for sure, but also, if you don't have any friends to bring, still come to league
yeah,
because
yeah,
the Lorcana community is great, and I was a solo walk-in, and my experience was great, so, local game shops can definitely be intimidating too, like, just have a ton of people that play all these games, and you're like, "I don't know what to do."
yeah,
But we have Lorcana has a great community, and I have confidence that someone will welcome you in and walk you through, you know, the whatever it is that's going on.
yeah, yeah. Well, and for people that have multiple stores in the same area, I kind of touched on this where some of them are more casual, some of them are more competitive.
Yeah,
If you go to a local store and it doesn't feel right, like you're like, okay, whoa, this is too much. Go to another one. Try to find,
yeah,
find your fit. You don't have to be comfortable at every single,
yeah,
LGS.
yeah. Go to fill them out, every store, at least that I've had an opportunity to go to, has a different vibe, so it's like
Mhm.
finding what feels right and making that your store.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and then you have people that, that are the on the more competitive side, they graduate up and go to DLCs and all that. So there's definitely a path there. I do hope that because I know like with other games like Pokemon and stuff like that, there's kind of a more like clear path to get there. It's
Mm,
not like you have set champs and then you have DLCs and you go to a
yeah,
DLC because you bought a ticket. It's like that's the only thing. There's not like any kind of ladder or anything that you build up,
yeah,
that way. But
yeah.
um
No, it'll
I
definitely be interesting, like, how that plays out too in the future, like, if it's gonna be only DLCs that make you qualify for bigger
Mhm.
events or, like, that'll be super interesting to see, like, how things shift, and especially now, like, where they've introduced rotations, like, I wonder if that's in the path, to I don't know, we don't know, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see, like, what the future of the game holds for sure.
Yeah. I like to think that that's kind of a natural progression, because it's one of those things like you look at it and you say, okay, yeah, that makes sense, right? Because you get to a certain point, and if it's just everybody that can buy a ticket, under 3,000 people or whatever, um, you might pit somebody who's only a month into Lorcana against somebody who's been playing it for 5 years or whatever at that point.
Yeah.
Um, and that's not always fun for everybody. Um, but you do have like the highly competitive group of folks, and to be able to like for worlds, we see all these highly competitive people that have proven at the DLCs that they can graduate up to this to this level. I really hope that they have that kind of thing, where you can do that
Yeah.
graduation, moving on up there. I know there's lots of competitive players that would love that too, because that means they get to play more and compete more.
More opportunities, yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm glad the community's kind of filled in that gap a little bit though with some of the unofficial events. There
Yeah.
was the Charlie's Collectible show this last weekend, or was it weekend before?
Yep. I
Did
think
you
it was
make it
last
this time?
weekend. I didn't. I
Oh,
didn't.
okay.
Yep. So I would have loved to they had a all ladies tournament, and I think is at
Oh,
least is
cool.
the first one that I've ever seen. So that was I thought that was super awesome. And would have loved to make it to that, but I didn't. So
Yeah.
gotta wait for the next one.
When they always have like a couple hundred people, don't they? I kind of forget how many they have,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I've been able to go to one of their, like, 10Ks or whatever tournaments, and it's
hmm
so much fun, like, that it's a whole event. You almost feel like you're at a DLC almost
yeah.
because it's such a big event, so, like you said, it's great that, spots like these are filling in the gaps for, those competitive players that want, that big tournament, and even for non-super competitive players, like, I like to go to these big tournaments with the aspiration to win, but if I don't, like, you still get to compete against some really, really great players, and,
Oh yeah.
it's always fun. It's always fun.
Yeah. And I'm glad they're doing I forget where it's at, but they're doing the starting to do the quest events for the more casual side as well. I think the first one that I forget where they mentioned it. I think it was on social somewhere, where it's like you swap out cards to try to find the right ones, or I forget exactly what it was, but it was definitely a more social targeted kind of thing. Um,
Okay, okay.
but I hope they, I'll have to go find it. I forget where it was, but shows how unprepared I am to talk about it. But I'm glad that they're keeping with that side too, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a game, it's a competition, right? You want to have competitive events and have opportunities for people to play in those. Um, but there's also just so much more to the game, and I'm glad that it's not just like, oh, we're only focusing on the competitive side,
Yeah.
and the community can do whatever else they want to. Um,
Yeah.
but to have the active actions, I guess, by Ravensburger to say we want to make sure there's events for other people too,
Yeah.
because we love
Yeah.
the inclusive community, and the fact that everybody can kind of come play it how they want.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be great too, like, with the new format with Infinity, like, how that's gonna play out, how that's gonna get supported. We know in December, there's support with from Ravensburger, uh, for local game shops to hold Infinity format, so it'll be
Yeah.
super interesting to see, like, how that plays out. We've seen them support Pack Rush, which is not as competitive, and it's meant to be fun. We've seen that, from them and showing that support, so it's fun to see what else comes out and, like, what other fun events are in the pipeline.
Yeah. Well, and knowing that they're planning, so many sets out, you have to wonder, what's in store, what's gonna
That's true.
what's gonna be coming around.
True.
So
That's true. I'm always
hopefully,
amazed. I'm
oh, go ahead.
always amazed, like I'm always amazed, like, how much planned out they have some of
Mm,
this stuff.
hmm.
Like, it is mind-blowing how much out they have this stuff planned out. I just think it's incredible.
Hmm. Well, and as we get, so I guess at Worlds we'll find out more about the DLCs, the next competitive round of things. Hopefully we'll find out about some other kind of events. Who knows? But I know they've specifically said that the DLC stuff is coming out then. So,
Yep, yep.
you planning
And
on
Gen
watching
Con,
or yeah, Gen Con? Yeah.
yes, Gen Con is coming up soon too, and they said they were going to announce a ton of stuff there too. So it'll
Yep.
anticipation.
Yeah.
But yes, Worlds, yes. So Worlds, I'm super excited about. I live in Florida, so I am
Oh,
heading down
okay.
to Disney to watch the the worlds at the parks filled with like I don't know. I feel like when you go to Disney, like even the air just feels happy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so my plan is like to go to the parks, enjoy the parks, and like sit at different parts of the park and like watch worlds and just
Nice.
be consumed with joy. So
That's the perfect place. I mean, it makes sense, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
a churro with my phone,
I know,
watching the
right?
stream. It's gonna be great.
Just find a nice cool spot to park it
Yeah.
and yeah. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, hey, Jay, thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me. This has been great, and I appreciate all the insight and your thoughts on, the content creation side of things. It's like I said, it's always great to talk to other creators and really get their perspective because nobody's journey is the same. And so, nobody's thought process is the same. Even if it's the same kind of content, everybody's different, right? So,
Yes. Yes,
but
no, thank you so much. Thank you
yeah.
so much for having me. It was a great conversation, and I truly, truly appreciate you for having me. So thank you.
Oh, of course, of course. Happy to have you. Okay, so the last four questions. All right, first off, favorite ink and card right now.
I have to go with Amethyst,
Okay.
and my favorite card is Archimedes Enchanted
Mm,
from set
okay.
5. Um, I think it's stunning. It's by Andrew Thompson, I think. And it just captured me as soon as I saw it. It is so beautiful. And I love all enchanteds, but that one just hasn't been topped yet.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That is a beautiful card. I appreciate that they've made like you can tell that they put so much work into these enchanteds and have the different the art styles that kind of match the set and I'm really
ugh,
looking forward to seeing what they look like for Fable too. That'll be really cool.
we could have a whole nother chat episode on enchanteds are like
I mean,
it,
right?
oh, it's just
Yeah.
stunning.
I know several people that would love to be in on that conversation to talk about, the art specifically of the Enchanteds, but just the art in general as well.
Yeah.
So, but
Yes. Yes.
all right, second question: favorite Disney movie and why?
So, favorite movie is has to be Hercules. If you know me for a little bit, that's a gimme. I love Hercules. Um, I love the story of never giving up and just fighting for what you believe and just for your goals. And the soundtracks from start to finish are 10 out
Mhm.
of 10. Chef kiss. I love Hades. Hades is like the best villain. Love it. Love
Yeah,
everything about it.
yeah, yeah. I all my stuff. I used to have my desk back here, and so all my stuff is on the little thing in the corner over there. But I have a Hades, a card altered Hades, and I've got a bunch of pins, and he's one of my favorites. And so I'm going to be very
Yes.
happy when he is the next big bad. Right, right, Ravensburger.
Right?
Looking at you.
Right? I'll have to show you my bag full of pins of Hades and Hercules then. You'll
Oh,
appreciate
nice,
it.
nice. That's awesome. All right, well, cool. Okay, next question. Give some shout outs to your local game stores.
Yes. So, For Honor and Glory is my local game shop. They always try to host the best events. They do. They are always supporting the Lorcana game, and um, thank you for all you do. Really appreciate it.
Cool. 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 Okay, and last question. Where can people find you and your content?
Literally on every social media that you can think of. If you can't find me on one, DM me because I'll make an account, but I'm on every single social media platform as Lore Whisperer. Um, Come join the fun and the adventures. And for those that are already joined, thank you for your continuous support. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and keep making that great content. It's fun to
Thank you.
watch, and you can tell that it's really like a passion of yours that you're really
Thank you.
putting your all into it. So
Thank you. Thank you. That really means a lot. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate it. And we'll see you around the community.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed listening in as I got to know a little bit more about Jay. If you like what you heard, make sure to like, subscribe, and rate the show on your platform of choice. If you'd like to reach out, you can find out more information about the show at LorcanaChats.com. Or if you'd like to reach out directly, you can email us at LorcanaChats@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.